Coming up, an update on the final section of the Mountain Parkway expansion.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Proposals have opened for construction teams who wish to work on the newest section of the Mountain Parkway, a 4-lane route between Salyersville and Prestonsburg. WYMT's Jordan Mullins spoke to officials in both Magoffin and Floyd counties about how this may impact travel and the economy.
On Wednesday, Governor Andy Beshear and the Kentucky Department of Transportation called for a final request for proposals for the final section of the Mountain Parkway. The Magoffin-Floyd section will be connected at 2 junctions of Kentucky 114, one near Salyersville and another near Prestonsburg, eventually connecting nearly 400 miles of 4-lane from Pikeville to Paducah.
We will see the Mountain Parkway 4-laned all the way from 23 to I-64. This is going to be a game changer, I think, for not just Magoffin County, but for all of eastern Kentucky.
The new route between Salyersville and Prestonsburg will open up eastern Kentucky for better trucking routes, which county officials believe will impact local economies.
Companies are working on razor-thin margins, and trucking is such, trucking transportation, all transportation costs play such a big role in the cost that the consumer ultimately pays for the product and market.
The Magoffin-Floyd section will also allow for safer roadways, rather than the 2-lane route of Kentucky 114.
It's going to actually give us access to western Kentucky, northern Kentucky, and southern Kentucky, better access.
Opening up eastern Kentucky to the rest of the state, and even shortening daily commutes for those here in the mountains.
Even from Salyersville driving to Floyd County, I've traveled that 114. You get behind somebody and there's no passing, and it's very frustrating. And so I really look forward to being able to jump on the 4-lane and just be to Prestonsburg in a matter of minutes if I need to.
Working to provide better roadways for a brighter future. In Magoffin County, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Definitely be exciting to see that finished. Magoffin County Judge Executive Matthew Wireman adds this will also open up the region for the tourism industry, bringing new faces and new dollars into the region. The bid for the project will be given to a construction team later this year. The Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence hosted its 2023 Groundswell Summit today, bringing educators and families to the table to talk about innovation in education. The event was held at Floyd County Central, filling the stage with speakers, performances, and panels. Superintendent Anna Shepard says the summit is a great way to bring minds together and share secrets to success.
To be able to be here and network and get ideas through the Great School Showcase. I mean, we've gotten so many that we're going to try to implement just from today.
The summit brought in invested folks from around the state with more than 25 districts represented.
Well, quiet conditions out there for the vast majority of us tonight, but you'll notice it is a little bit milder in some spots as we run out there tonight. No big issues from our Pikeville Medical Center camera. Right near 70 daytime high, or sorry, right now we got near 80 for a daytime high. In fact, Pikeville got to 78, 79 Hazard, 85 in Monticello, though I did see that thermometer get back up to about 86 a little earlier today, so it was a warm one in parts of the Cumberland Valley. For the most part, we remain in the middle and upper 60s. Low 70s even in some spots. Monticello is still at 72 as a matter of fact. Couple of downpours we weren't able to completely get away from them. Parts of southern Campbell County, southern Claiborne County in East Tennessee. That is the only game in town. We continue to see quiet conditions elsewhere. Your forecast first as we pour that bowl of frosted weather wheats, part of any balanced meteorological breakfast in the morning. Low to mid 60s out there as we bathe under complete sunshine in the morning. Details on when we see perhaps a return to a few showers by the end of the weekend in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Nesbitt Engineering was selected to do the sewage installment at a new housing site by the Whitesburg City Council. The company will install sewage in the housing plot for flood survivors. Mayor Tiffany Kraft says the Whitesburg City Council chose Nesbitt for many reasons, one being they are familiar with the area. Kraft says there were 5 bids they scored in order to vote on a company.
On the scoring sheets, there were points possible, which were 20, 15, 10, and 0. And questions such as, does this engineering company seem to have knowledge of the area? Have they ever done work here before? So as the questions go down, you can either give them 20 points, 15, 10, 0, whatever applies to them.
This housing development will be the only housing occupied by only flood survivors in Letcher County. The city of Jenkins has been awarded $250,000 to hire engineers to look at the Elkhorn Lake Dam. Jenkins Mayor Todd Dupree says the dam has been leaking for years. The dam, which sits directly above downtown Jenkins, is important for the city's safety. Dupree says the July flooding did not necessarily make the leak worse, but it did stress the dam.
There's a lot of material around the edge of the dam and stuff that was washed out and washed back into the stream, and it uncovered some construction pieces that we were wondering about how it was made, and we're able to look at them, and it's keyed in the rock on both sides, and we feel a little better about that. But yeah, it definitely took a little toll on it.
Dupree says the dam currently does not have the ability to lower the lake level in the event of a flood, something he says will be important to fix. Several people that lived in the apartment building that caught on fire in downtown Hazard last week and the nearby Treehouse building are now without a home. Residents have been staying in a hotel with family and friends or anywhere else they can find. Former tenants Allie Barger and Samantha Coward say finding housing has been a struggle.
Red Cross and KRCC, really, they're the ones that are trying to help me find somewhere to live and get clothes and everything else.
The housing in Hazard right now is so few and far between, and I have to stay here. So right now I'm just staying wherever I can.
The tenants have been approved to stay at a local hotel in Hazard until at least through Monday. A new ruling from the Kentucky Supreme Court will lift a temporary suspension against former Commonwealths attorney Ronnie Goldie. The General Assembly impeached Goldie in March. Goldie resigned in February after accusations that he did favors for a woman facing prosecution in exchange for nude photos. The state Supreme Court's ruling today will allow him to once again practice law in the state. The Kentucky Supreme Court also ruled against the University of Kentucky in a dispute involving students and administrative fees during the pandemic. Students wanted to sue the university, saying they should not have paid fees in full during the pandemic when classes were virtual. The university claims government immunity from that lawsuit. Today, the Supreme Court ruled the university and students had a written binding contract, and students have a legitimate expectation to receive what they paid for. Now, the claim of breach of contract can continue. We received an update today on what the future will look like for kids in Kentucky jails. House Bill 3 and Senate Bill 162 aim to rehaul the juvenile justice system across the Commonwealth. This after reported fights, fires, and unlivable conditions at some of the facilities. One of the biggest problems they will solve is understaffing. The department's commissioner explains why having a good ratio of guards to inmates is so important.
If our kids are like attention starved, and if they can't get it in positive ways, they'll go for negative. But having somebody there to talk to you and ask you how it went in court, to talk about that bad phone call you got from home, to just ask how your day is going, helps keep those behavior incidents down. So it really is a ripple effect that goes through our entire system.
The bills would allow an additional $9.5 million to hire more people at the facilities. Governor Andy Beshear signed both of them in March. A new national ranking shows child well-being in Kentucky going the wrong way. The 2023 Kids Count report shows the state dropping 3 places from last year to number 40. As David Mattingly reports, that puts Kentucky in some unflattering company.
There are no bright spots for Kentucky in the 2023 Kids Count data book. State-to-state comparisons published annually show the Commonwealth falling behind in multiple categories measuring child health and welfare.
My biggest takeaway is extreme anxiety for where we're headed.
Terry Brooks of Kentucky Youth Advocates looks at major categories in the report and sees canaries in the coal mine. Kentucky drops to number 40 overall, just ahead of South Carolina and West Virginia among states designated worst. Kentucky ranked 40th in health, 42nd in family and community, and 41st in economic well-being.
And what frankly scares me to death is that that is a prelude to an accelerated decline in that area. And that's going to lead to other problems in education achievement, health outcomes, and that stability factor when it comes to kids.
Kentucky's highest ranking was 29 in education, rising out of worst to the worst category.
70% of fourth graders in Kentucky do not meet minimum national standards when it comes to reading. 80% of eighth graders fail to meet minimal proficiency standards in math.
As David Mattingly reporting, this is the 34th annual report of the Kids Count Data Book. States ranking near the top include New Hampshire, Utah, and Massachusetts, while states ranking near the bottom were New Mexico, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, it is fair and festival time across the region. We talk with organizers in Perry and Jackson counties about some big events through this weekend.
And more showers and storms are back in the forecast at times through the next 7 days. Whether or not they affect some of those festivals after this.
It is time to upgrade, and Appalachian Wireless has